What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Social City Podcast, episode 9. I'm your host, Omar Foster, at Old School Omar. This is the queen bee of Social City, Aubriana Cherie Foster. Say what's up to the people, boo.
What's up, people?
On today's episode, we're going to be chatting about life after near-death experiences. We got a new game alert as an icebreaker, little this or that, obsession of the week, and then we'll close out with some gratitude. But first, we've got our sponsor of the week, y'all. Premier Services LV. www.premierserviceslv.com. Premier Services is your one-stop shop for all your waste and recycling equipment needs. They are family-owned and operated, have been servicing Nevada, Utah, and Arizona for the past 13 years. They are the industry leaders in baler and compacting and are the solution to all your recycling equipment needs, big or small. Whether you're a distribution center or a mom and pop grocery store, Premier Services has what you need. They offer equipment rentals, fabrication, and repair, leading with the most cost-effective customer solution in mind. If you're in Nevada, Utah, or Arizona and in need of any recycling equipment rentals or disposal solutions, make sure you call the team at Premier Services and tell them Omar sent you. Man, shout out to my boy Tony Flores, man.
Tony.
Supporting the podcast, hitting us with a sponsorship, man. Tony and I go way, way back. He's probably like one of the longest friends I've had. Back in 7th grade, I knew Tony went to the same middle school, Gibson Middle School. Shout out to everyone who went to Gibson.
That's like OG Vegas stuff right there.
You were pretty much in the hood, man. There was riots and stuff all the time between the Mexicans and the blacks, and it was just an environment that if you were in, it's kind of like you followed that crowd. So I'm really proud of Tony and all of these that he's accomplished with his business. He was at the gym for a couple years on and off. You know, it was good having him at the gym as a socialite. He brought his son Ryan to train with us for a little while, so that was cool to see like the dad and son combo. You know, I love when parents work out and just lead by example and show the kids, you know, what needs to be done.
He's just a phenomenal human being. I was super, super excited to meet him because I remember when we first started dating, I think we ran into him at Tilly's, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was where we first bumped into him, and you had told me that like you guys knew each other from junior high, and it was the first friend I think I had met that wasn't someone that had gone to LVA that like knew you that long.
Yeah, totally.
Just cool to see how they've grown and everything their family's been through. They've just are such a ray of light and tenacity and just incredible people.
Yeah, thanks again, Tony. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support.
Thanks, Tony.
Here we go. After 14 years of being in the health and fitness space, we have heard hundreds of collective stories, conversations, and perspectives that have created so much inspiration in our own lives that we wanted to bring them beyond the four walls of the gym and share them on a greater platform. Our goal is to share some of our favorite personalities, stories, and perspectives that continue to inspire us. Episode 9.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I'm feeling fine, though. You know, I'm feeling good. Second to last episode, I'm still out. My cheeks still hurt from last week's episode with Reynald and Clifton, those guys.
Oh my gosh.
I'm still standing. What is it? On business.
Standing on business.
I'm still standing on business, Reynald.
There were so many good little sound bites that just came from those guys that just like lived in my head all week. They're just
sliding down rainbows. And now like I'm aware of like gay men in fitness space and, you know, like they're being straight, attractive trainers. Cause I think that was one thing that kind of like went over my head. I just assumed that like if there was a gay guy walking into a room that they were only attracted to like another gay man, but not like they're in a room.
It's like women. It's like, I feel like I can see how attractive you are. So it was no surprise to me when Reynald like shared that story. Cause I'm like, yeah, you're hot. And I'm, you know, just that's the way I look at you. So I thought it was hilarious. Cause
it was a good learning curve.
I saw that moment where you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now. I didn't get it before.
Always something to learn, Omar.
Now I gotta watch out where I take my shirt off at these days.
Or take it off and sell some more memberships. Omar takes his shirts off, guys, when on certain training days. Look, but don't touch, because I'll take my hoops out.
So let me take a second and let everyone know that we are looking for season 2 sponsors. If you own a business or have listened and have liked what you have heard, holla at your boy for season 2. We would love to continue this and need your support. I'm so excited to introduce today's guests. On episode 2, we had some legacy members, so some long-term guys who have been around for 10 plus years. Yeah. So we thought it'd be fun to kind of caveat that and have some newer members who have been with us for less than a year or so. So we've got some rookie socialites with an incredible story to share. One of our newest socialites, a former science teacher who left it all and is now a content creator. She is known as the Canvas Queen on YouTube, where she teaches teachers how to make the jump from pen to paper to the digital side of the classroom. She is also an autoimmune warrior and a loving wife to our next guest. Welcome to the show, Lauren Janowska. Say what's up to the people, Lauren.
So good
What's
to
up?
be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you guys. Next, I want to welcome a guest that may be familiar to some of you guys. If you made it to the Christmas parties this last time around, he had a one-night engagement at Pete and Jody's. Perform I'm on a Boat flawlessly.
Flawless.
Welcoming to the show, Ian Janowska.
Yeah,
Say what's up to the
That
people.
was a lot of fun, huh?
I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
He has many hidden talents.
That'll be one that people never forget for
So
sure.
true.
Yeah, man. Ian's another rookie socialite. He's a loving husband and self-proclaimed introvert, which we're
What'd I
still
say?
debating.
Yeah, we're debating if that's actually true.
He's a nurse who works on the administrative side. He has an incredible story to share today about a traumatic brain injury and overcoming the limits placed upon him. Our boy Ian, man.
Hey.
We're excited to have you, bro.
Happy to be here, guys.
Yeah,
really,
thanks, guys,
really
for
looking
coming
forward to
on.
this.
Yeah, so you guys aren't new to us, but you're new to the show, new to the podcast. We've done this when you guys first came into the gym, but give it to the people who are listening today. Give us your name, something cool on the bucket list, and hit us with that favorite Disney classic movie. Ladies first.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Bucket list. I want to go to New Zealand so bad. My cousin has a house there.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So we just have to pay for a flight.
Yes.
So I'm like, let's go.
Yep.
And then favorite Disney movie is, I think the red hair kind of says it all. It's The Little Mermaid.
Oh, there
Ah.
you go. I wonder what the stats are on that. If there's
I
like
feel
a
like it's pretty high.
It
I
was
feel
my
like Little
favorite as a
Little
child, too.
Mermaid, Lion King.
Mhm.
Those are like always two big ones, like 80s, 90s babies.
yeah, but I'm
for
saying
sure.
as far as like women having red hair,
Oh.
if it's like you know
Good
what I
question,
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you just like relate, I guess. I don't know.
You know, like is there women who have red hair who are like I absolutely hate Ariel for whatever reason, or just like yep, I like it because she had red
We
hair.
have like a few gingers in the gym. I think I'm going to take a poll.
That's a good
I think
idea.
we're at like 4 or 5, which
Yeah.
statistically, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know, like, comparing Ariel to what's the other girl from Brave? She was a Disney girl, right?
Oh,
What-
Merida.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The more kind of classic, like Scottish ginger. I'd be curious to know who the red
Ariel
like
for
more.
sure.
Ariel's
Yeah,
better.
for sure.
Brave didn't get
My
much
Stand
play.
on
Yeah,
business,
Stand on
Ariel.
business, 3, 2, 1, hit us with it.
All right, what's up, guys? My name's Ian.
Hi,
Yo,
Ian.
Bucket list, man. I don't know. I've done a lot.
Clearly go to New Zealand if you're making it happen.
You
I
haven't
think-
traveled
I
internationally.
have not traveled internationally.
Okay.
I think I would really like to go to Chile. And Lauren knows that
Chile.
Chile's on a hotspot list for me. And then Disney classic movie. My favorite movie growing up was Toy Story. I think that was one of the first movies I saw, probably. But love it. Love
So
it.
you can always tell people are like a little younger.
A little
than us
younger,
when
yeah.
it's like Toy Story. You're like,
Yeah,
that
like,
was
Ian,
right
tell-
at the
how
end.
old are you,
That was
Ian?
the end of mine.
I'll be 29 in July.
29. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, so
that
under
makes
30.
sense. Little decade. We just, skincare. We working on. We look younger.
I wasn't into Toy Story growing up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just kind of
Because it's like a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
So
you're
by
right.
the time you were on to like Friday and Friday After Next.
True that. But now when the kids roll around, it's like when they got into Toy Story, we kind
Yeah.
of got into it. We're like, dude, Toy Story is good. How did I miss that?
For sure.
I got like, can you guys see Ian's shirt right here?
So legit.
Like, it kind
What
of
do you
threw me
think?
off because it's kind of like floral, but then
Yeah.
there are like hidden guns
You're right,
and
I
like
would love
pineapple
that.
grenades in there.
Lauren and I
Legit,
actually
dude.
had a conversation about this shirt before he came here. I was
He
like,
was
oh, man,
nervous
do I wear
about
this
it.
shirt? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely commit.
What was the debate? Is it too aggressive? Is
Maybe that was the thought process.
No,
Was
it's
it, man, is this
introvert,
too
though. He's
much,
such
you know?
an
Is this
introvert.
too much?
I love it. I love it.
He is.
All right,
I
so
love it.
before we get into our discussion for today, another warm-up game for you guys. Play a little this and that to get to know you guys a little bit better.
Okay.
So we're talking about vacation and going over the pond. Can you say that? Over the pond? International travel?
Yeah.
So vacation-wise, would you prefer to do the beach or the mountains?
Oh, that's hard.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say for me, beach.
Okay.
I already know Ian's answer.
Yeah, I
See,
think
I don't know if you do because this is a vacation. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
wow.
Maybe I don't
I'm a
know.
mountain boy at heart for sure. You know, grew up in the mountains, love the mountains. But for a vacation, I think a beach is fine.
Ah.
I mean, we went to Hawaii for our honeymoon last year, and that was the first time I'd like spent like extensive time in kind of a beach environment. It was a ton of fun. So I think
yeah.
for like vacation ideas, I'd be fine with the beach.
Okay, cool.
right.
I'll take it.
Shock you.
What do you?
Yeah, it does
I know.
shock
I'm like,
me.
where are you at?
Yeah.
I feel like we flip back and we go through different seasons
We
of this.
do, man. We're kind of 50-50.
I'd say right now, I think I'd prefer mountain
Yeah.
right now. I feel like most of the time I would say beach because it's like beach is really fun when you're just like chilling.
Yeah.
But I feel like kids don't chill. Don't chill. So it's been really fun up at the mountains because I feel like that's been like a newer side of adventure for us because before I was not a mountain person for sure.
Yeah,
What
I guess I
about
would
you?
agree because it's just been a little bit more calm.
Yeah.
Because whenever we go to the beach and we're out at whatever, Newport or whatever, that's usually where we go.
Yeah.
It's still like go, fast fast pace,
Yeah.
jumping in traffic, finding places to park.
Totally.
And then when you get to the beach, it's a good 2 hours of relaxation or however long we
Yeah.
spend. And then it's back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit
Little
of a
bit more
fast pace,
quiet.
you know?
So I guess that means we're going to the
Mountains
mountains.
it is.
Yeah, and boom.
All right. Going on a dinner date, do you prefer tacos or sushi?
Sushi.
So easy, sushi,
So
100%.
easy.
We are
Both
big
of you guys
sushi
big sushi
people.
fans?
Oh, yeah.
Big
Okay.
sushi people.
Okay. What are you?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
if there were gluten-free options, probably tacos because I miss like Flamin' Fajita or
Yeah.
Flamin' Wands
Yeah.
where we used to go. But I'd be sushi for sure.
Yeah, for
Although
sure.
I just did a parasite cleanse and that's kind of like ruined sushi for me. But we'll save that for like a different episode.
And then the final this or that question is a gym question.
Well, you didn't answer you.
Oh,
Sushi
that's
or
a tough one.
tacos?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just family wise, we
Fajitas.
do a lot more sushi. But if I had to choose solo, I wouldn't go and get sushi by myself. It would be some sort of tacos because
Gotcha.
got more meat in there, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Protein count, you know?
Yeah.
Prioritize the protein.
Prioritize
right.
that protein. Gotta
That's
get those
right.
macros in.
I know, you're hilarious.
All right, so last one is a gym question.
Okay.
Would you prefer to deadlift or back squat? 5x5, let's say.
Ah,
Well, I think initially I would have said deadlift,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been really loving the back squat.
dude, she did
recently.
so good. I was there on Tuesday for the 5x5. Lauren crushed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what'd you hit?
130.
What?
Yeah,
130.
that's nice.
Yeah.
130 for
Heck yeah.
5x5.
No big deal.
But like
Must be the coaching.
130 was like my PR for just one rep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
so
like
cool.
really interested to see
Yeah.
what it's gonna be. So-
Wow, it's a big accomplishment.
That's
To take
so
that one rep and do
cool,
it for
right?
five,
Yeah,
for
I know.
sure.
And you're
Yeah.
making Tim proud using that ball, you know?
Oh yeah, Tim. I always use the ball.
There you go.
Shout out to
Even-
Coach Tim.
yeah.
Shout out to Coach Tim,
Yeah.
the CrossFit daddy, making him
CrossFit
squat to them
daddy.
balls.
Yes, he does.
So hopefully that's not a inside thing.
Clifton's over there like 2 snaps.
Squat that booty to ball. What you got,
Boy.
Oh, man.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I got to go with the deadlift. I think it's probably the lift I'm best at. Probably it's fun. I like that lift. I like just being able to pick up something heavy from the ground. I've gotten better with back squat.
Yeah. You put in some work, man. Ian's
yeah.
always staying after class, like putting in that extra time. That's what I love about both of you guys is like rookie members. You're so eager to learn. And as a coach, like there is nothing better than watching people take the feedback, apply it. But then also if they have the time and the capacity to like stick around and like work on the things that they need to, and you do that, you're just like, man, I feel like a proud parent. Like, look at these guys.
Look at all that progress.
Crushing it,
It's
yeah.
so rewarding.
Super.
What have you hit on a one rep deadlift?
Last time I did a one rep, it was like 410. Right now
Okay,
I'm
there
running
you
a
go.
5x5 and I hit 355 for 5.
There you go.
Let's
That
go.
felt pretty
410
good. That
deadlift.
felt pretty good.
Yeah,
go.
over 400 is fun, man.
What about
Yeah.
you, Ben?
lift wise?
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a tough one. Because deadlift is like you either like feeling it or you're not. It's
Yeah.
50-50. But like squats, sometimes in the beginning, like you start to warm up and you get into like set 2 or set 3. You're like, all right, my hips, my knees have opened up. Let's go. And there's something about building my legs that I'm kind of like after right now.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be like all upper body. And now I'm like, dude, I got some quad envy. Like,
Yeah.
have you seen David and Marianne's quads? I'm
Bro.
like, the 5-inch seam shorts with the big quads.
They got some meat on them legs.
Shout
Even
out-
I'm eyeing like little separation. I'm like, okay,
Shout out to them
guys.
quad boys out there, those
Hey,
shorties,
quad
Marianne and David, the
boys. Love
quad
them.
boys.
The quad boys, that's it. They were definitely going to be called that now at Wednesday classes. Done.
Well, thank you guys again so much for coming on the show. It's been awesome having you guys in the gym. We just wanted to dive in and just get to know you guys a little bit better. How long have you guys been in Vegas for now?
For me, it's been 7 years.
Oh, okay, cool.
I came before Ian, and then he 5?
We were
for
just talking.
you?
Were we talking about this yesterday?
I think
Last
so.
night? I think 5 years. I moved down here spring of 2019. Well,
Mhm.
actually, kind of more like winter of 2019. I came down here in like February.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we met at school at university, and I graduated first. So there weren't many like teaching jobs in California where we're from. And my parents had recently moved to the Valley, and they're like, there are a lot of teaching jobs. And I was like eager and just graduated, and I was like, I'm gonna go. And we had a little breakup for a bit.
Sure, sure.
But then I don't know, how long was our breakup? Like 8 months or so, and then we just did the long distance thing
Yeah.
for a year
Yeah,
ish, and then he followed me here.
sure
Good,
did.
smart man.
Yep.
Smart.
You gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
And then how did you guys find out about, how did you find out about Social City?
Oh man, so we'd been doing the LVAC game for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it was all right. Yeah, growing up, I wasn't like a big gym guy. Very active, very outdoorsy, very into sports. So I had that athletic base, but didn't really, wasn't big in lifting weights, and moved down here, and to stay active, I kind of had to force myself to do that. And so we were doing that for a couple of years, and then I kind of got sick of it. Started digging into some CrossFit stuff. Found some of the old videos on YouTube. Listened
Good
to a
old
bunch
YouTube
of,
University,
yeah,
man. Anything you need to learn.
Yeah, had the watched the Joe Rogan podcast with like Matt Frazier. Got into like watching some of the Rich Froning stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna look into this. And I just honestly Googled CrossFit gyms close to our house because we live super close to the gym.
Okay.
And there were a couple around the area, right? And the reviews on Google were the best for that. And I like the 5 a.m. time.
Yeah.
That works well for me and my job. And so once I saw there was a 5 a.m. slot, I was like, well, perfect. I'm just going to go try this out.
Yay.
And man, I saw you. And after that first workout, I walked up. I was like, okay, let's do this.
It's so funny to hear how popular 5 a.m. is now.
Yeah.
You know what I
Dude.
mean? Like,
That
we didn't have a
class
5
is
a.m. at one point.
poppin'.
We didn't have a 5 a.m. at one point in time. And then when someone brought it up, we are like, 5 a.m., 6:30 is early. Who the heck wants to work out at 5 a.m.? And now it's just like the go-getter class.
It really
You got to get
is.
stuff done. You get in at 5 a.m. And we've been talking about it like in the later classes, like 9 and noon. It's like, dude, 5 a.m. has been like 12 people constantly.
Yeah.
Like,
Sign into
it's
Zen
booked.
Planner.
Yeah,
There's
for
not a lot of
sure.
space.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no space for 5 a.m. That's awesome. What's been your overall experience with the gym?
You want to go first?
Yeah, let Lauren go first.
Because
Ian started like October.
October,
or so?
yeah. It's been about 6 months I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and
I
then,
started November.
Yeah, so like a month after Ian.
So initially, like we were like Hugh said, we were kind of fed up with LVAC. We were going to the gym for like 2 hours, mostly just because we were waiting for weights, and just wanted to like switch things up. So I tried hot yoga, which I really enjoyed. And I will say I was intimidated by CrossFit.
Yeah.
But Ian was really enjoying it, and as he kept like, loving it even more and connecting with more people, I was like, okay, like I'll go give it a try. I still love my first day because I came in and Aubi just was so excited. She's like, I've heard so much about you, and gave me a big hug, and I felt so welcome. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna be fine.
Oh yeah, you were part of the fam.
Yeah.
Ian's
So-
was talking about bringing his wife in, and then I was like, "Oh, you're her!" Like we had talked about you for so long for that first month, so it was so cool when you showed up.
He did scare me a little bit at times. He's like, maybe don't come today.
On a certain day.
On a certain, I think it was like
Mile Run Monday.
Yeah, I
Monday.
was coming back from the mile run Mondays. I was like, you don't want that. You don't want that to be your first kind of
Which
foray into it.
he scared me so bad about Mondays that I didn't end up going to a Monday workout until actually this week.
Yeah, and she crushed it.
Yeah, she killed it.
And she crushed it. I sent Ian a video. I was like, "Look at your girl.
Yeah, she killed
Look
it.
at your girl crushing it."
Yeah, I think your first workout was a deadlift workout.
Yeah.
I think it was a deadlift day.
I love
Yeah,
a
it
deadlift.
was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because
Yeah.
I like to deadlift.
I love a deadlift.
She said it was a heavy lifting day, and I enjoyed it.
I
think
did.
it's probably has pros and cons to have our staple days, but at least you're able to tell her, like, hey, Monday is a running day, like Tuesday is a team Tuesday, so we're going to partner up with somebody. Wednesday's a slower day, which some people are intimidated of weightlifting Wednesday, but once you get into it, it's like, hey, you can control the weights you want to use and just make it a day where you focus on your form and technique,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, that 5 a.m. and 6:30 on Wednesday though. I heard is lit.
This past Wednesday,
We had like a salsa
Yeah.
class. It was hilarious. Come to my morning classes. I'm real loud first thing in the morning. I can be your alarm clock for sure.
Yeah, but I love that people have their staple days,
Yeah.
like Dirty Thursday. It's usually just a universal rest day where most people who work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are like, cool, I'm going to take it easier, take a rest day on Thursday. But sometimes you can come on Thursday with no pressure of like logging in a score
Yeah.
or lows and still
Just
get to
move.
move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
most people come back on Friday to either get their deadlifts in or just get a nice little pump flex Friday or fast Friday and to close out the week. So that's cool to hear. That you kind of knew what day you wanted to come on, that you were able to tell her, like, hey, like if you don't really enjoy running, then Monday's probably not the day for you.
Yeah, for sure. You can find your rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ian and I had a chance to kind of get to know each other better at the Momentum Men's
Yes.
Camp. I think it was maybe even like session 1, right? Session 1 or session 2.
Yeah, give or take.
We were chit-chatting. I was throwing out some questions out there to some of the fellas, and then we got into talking about his traumatic accident that he went through and some of the insecurities, I think, was a talk. Would you mind sharing the story on your accident?
no,
I'll
absolutely.
follow you.
Yeah, of course. So I guess a bit of background before we dive into
Yeah.
the story. I spent, like I said, I grew up outside a lot. I was around water, I was around skiing, and I've had a handful of injuries that have put me in the hospital, probably why I ended up in healthcare. And so I spent some time as a sponsored athlete in whitewater kayaking. I still have a couple.
Nice.
Shout out
That's so
to
cool.
some of those awesome companies that still work with me. In, what was it, January of 2016, was taking a sabbatical from school. I had finished up all my prerequisites for nursing school. The university I was in, obviously extremely competitive with getting into a nursing program. I didn't get in, so I was like, I'm just going to take some time off.
Yeah.
And I spent that time kind of hanging out at my parents' house. Would go up and see Lauren every now and then and spend a lot of time kayaking. And we actually had an argument the day that the accident happened because I was supposed to go up and spend some time with her. And I was like, well, I'll just go up as soon as I'm
She
done
was just
boating.
trying to save you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go boating first, and then I'll come up afterwards. And the weather was really bad. It was pouring down rain, which is a lot of fun when you're kayaking, right? But we were doing this run that I'd done a lot, and it's about a 2-mile hike in. And so this hike, you're carrying all your boating gear, your kayak. It's about 50 pounds or so, and you're carrying it down this 2-mile trail. And during the course of time, it's pouring down rain, it's cold, but you're moving, and you have all this stuff on, so you start getting warm. You start taking stuff off. I took my helmet off and put it in my kayak. And as we were continuing to walk, we split up into 2 groups. I was in the group that was ahead, and we got to a point in time where it's like, okay, let's take a quick 5-minute break. We'll let the other group catch up to us, and we'll all just kind of finish this hike out as one group. And I set my boat down in my helmet, rolled out of my boat, kind of tumbled, went off the side of the trail. And so, I saw where it went, didn't see it, but I saw where it went. And I was like, it couldn't have gone that far. Surely it didn't go that far. And I told everybody else, I was like, guys, the other group's behind me. I'm just going to go down there, dig up my helmet. Don't feel like you got to wait. The other group will catch up. No biggie, right? I start walking down the trail and down the side of this mountain, and it's getting steeper and steeper and steeper. And I kind of like keep sliding down the mountain. I'm like, I'd maybe gone a couple 100 yards. And I was like, just forget it. I don't need to go boating that bad today. Whatever. It's a helmet. I can just get another one. It's not the end of the world. But then I saw the helmet. Famous last words, right? But then I saw it, and I was like, ooh, there it is. And the last thing I really remember is going over to the helmet, bending over to pick it up. And that's kind of the last thing I remember. I remember bits and pieces afterwards. I remember waking up. I don't remember much of the pain or anything, but I remember waking up a couple times over the course, while the group was looking for me. It took them like 3 hours to find me. But so,
What happened after you picked up your helmet?
So the ground gave way. And I ended up tumbling, I think a couple 100 feet or so down the side of the mountain and then off a cliff. And the cliff was, what'd they say, ballpark, like 20 feet or so.
Yeah.
Give or take. And I landed on a bunch of rocks. I broke my back in 3 places. I broke T7, T8, and L1. I hit my head really bad, and then I was out. And I remember bits and pieces of kind of waking up and trying to move, but not being able to. And like I said, it was freezing cold. But you start kind of losing it a little bit, and I started taking off all my stuff. And I started getting a little hypothermic. Come to find out, that's probably what saved my life. The doc, my brain surgeon said, you were so hypothermic that you ended up kind of slowing down the bleeding in your brain. So probably survived. But it took one of my buddies about 3 hours to find me. And then and Dylan, he's like, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10". So he's shorter than me.
And for reference, how tall are you, Ian?
I'm 6'2".
Exactly.
I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
And he's shorter than me, and he's trying to carry me up the side of the mountain.
Wow.
And I remember kind of coming to a couple times, but I wasn't conscious for most of that. And then when we get back to the trail, it was about a mile hike out, and we hiked out. And we just kind of walked side by side hiking out.
It was like a total of 2 miles that this guy carried Ian out.
Yeah. And so the weather was so bad they couldn't fly me out. They had to drive me back to the highway, and it was about a half hour, 45-minute drive back to the highway probably, where an ambulance met us, and they took me down to the nearest trauma center. I ended up having 2 brain surgeries. I had 2 craniotomies. At the worst point, I had enough swelling in my brain that I was off center about 10 millimeters, which is a big deal in brain injuries. But so actually you can kind of right there, that scar right there. I have a big old question mark scar that goes all the way down this side of my face. They did the first surgery. I don't know even how long between surgeries. It was like 24 hours maybe.
Yeah,
give or take.
A little over 24.
And so after the first surgery, they were like, let's watch. And I started kind of having some deficits again, going back in and out of consciousness. And the doc said, we have to go back in. And so then they did the second surgery.
It was scary because the second surgery, his parents were not there, and I was there. And he was old enough, like he was of age, but he was out of it.
Couldn't sign for anything.
And so like it was just so scary because he like being there and like making decisions and watching him make the decision, and I knew he was like he was not there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like Ian's parents, by the way, they went to go like home, shower, and come back immediately. And it was just like almost the worst timing because he was going directly. Thank God for the nurses though, because they were like on it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, like we're going to get his doctor and we're going to get him into second surgery. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm alone.
Wow.
Well, Joseph was there, right?
Yeah, Joseph was there, but he was kind of like,
How long had you guys been
know.
dating when this had happened?
6
months, probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it was
Like
fresh.
new love.
Yeah.
No
Yep.
pressure, Lauren. No pressure.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So I was like, I've been with this guy for 6 months. He had a really traumatic injury. And now like I'm here watching him make a decision about a second surgery and he's not in it. Like he's not there. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah. And so after that second surgery, everything was all good, thankfully. They put me in a back brace. I was moving that next day, and they discharged me from the hospitals 5 days later, which was awesome, right? And so it just shows how far healthcare has gone. Like once that second surgery was there, the doc was like, okay, we're going to get you up. You're going to start moving around. I was moving pretty quick. I was out pretty quick. But yeah, so I have the big scar here. I can't really feel anything on the left side of my head still to this day. I have a bunch of little plates over here. Those are starting to hurt a little bit. Recent development. And then I have some wire mesh kind of like right here around my eye socket. They put some medical grade, like a medical foam to kind of float some of the bone fragments back up there. Yeah. And then wire meshed it in place. And
I call him my robo nurse.
Yeah, for sure. Holy cow.
Crazy.
It's a crazy story, man.
That is a crazy story.
We're grateful to have you here, man.
Yeah, man, I
God
know
is so good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a lot of people were definitely like praying. You know, there were a ton of people. The amount of support I felt from just people I didn't even know.
Well, I
was
remember
incredible.
when you shared a bit of this story at the 5 a.m. class, and I just like jaw on the floor, and I came home and talked to Omar, and then I think you guys had talked about it again at Momentum.
Yeah.
But it's like I would have never guessed that you had such a traumatic injury, period, let alone a traumatic brain injury. Just as a coach, like watching you move and watching your ability, your agility, like your body control, your body awareness. Like I was so shocked to hear that. And I'm sure the prognosis from the doctors were probably not like
not the best. What was it? A couple
I mean, you
weeks
fall
after,
off a cliff like
right,
20 feet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
What do you think they're going to
Yeah,
do?
they didn't really know.
I'm not it's
Yeah.
not a dig on the doctors, it's just
Yeah.
the reality of what the injury.
Yeah, well, one of the like moments that stick out to me during that time too was like one of the nurses while he was getting in the middle of the night was like getting treatment or whatever, comes in and goes, you know, like God wants you to be here. He was saying that. The nurse was saying that to Ian, and I was like, whoa, that was definitely a God moment, and it's
Sure.
true.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Not a question. There's no coincidences in life, let alone something like that.
It's like there was a reason why it was cold that day, and God wants you to be here. There's a purpose.
well, and the fact that they could even get you out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Like,
Yep.
whew, that's crazy.
That is a wild story, man. I mean, I'll share my story, which is, I mean, overall kind of on a similar pattern. So this was back in 2006. I was drag racing motorcycles while stationed at Herbert Field in Florida. I had a 600cc bike that raced maybe twice on this track, and I had just upgraded to a new 1000cc bike, so my R1. So we take it out there. I'm with a few of my boys. We're leathered up. You know, it's on a closed track, closed course. And I just remember pulling up to the line, and there was a guy kind of like on an older bike. And I was just thinking, like, I don't know how fast his bike is, but like, I'm going to get after it, you know? So all I remember was the lights turn green, and I just was like on the gas and just like complete tunnel vision. Like I think I just blacked out. I was so focused on getting to the end as fast as I could. And all I remember is like, I got to the end of the track. Like I saw the edge, and I was just like, oh crap. And I feel like I literally like jumped out of my shoes, and my shoes stayed at the edge of the track. Luckily, I think a week before, it used to be kind of like heavy trees that they had just cleared the trees out, and they cleared it for about 100 yards. And I think I must have tumbled through this brush, but had there been trees there 1 week before, like it would have probably split my body in half. So
Wow.
they said I crashed going somewhere between 150 and 160 miles an hour, tumbled for about 50 to 70 yards or so, had to get life flighted out of the track to the hospital. And when I'm looking back on it, I feel like I had like an out of body experience, like pretty much like a near death experience, like out of body, where I was out looking at myself on the side of this crash, being combative. Like I was like fighting my friends and the paramedics who arrived in the life flight. And then I woke up 3 days later. Like this was on a Friday, and I woke up on a Monday in the hospital. I had this arm up in a sling. I had my leg up in a sling. There were staples going down my stomach, and I was just like, guys, what the heck happened? There was like 10 of my motorcycle friends there. My girlfriend at the time, which I had been dating for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, she was there at the hospital, and my mom was there, who at the time lived in Las Vegas. So I had all these questions. I was just like, number one, why are there staples going down my stomach? And the doctors were like, you ruptured your spleen. We had to remove it.
No.
And my reply was, how long do I have to live? Because I had no idea what the spleen did at that time. You know, I was just like, whoa, you guys took that out. Am I on a time limit here? You know what I mean? So I had a ruptured spleen. I broke my wrist, broken hip, fractured vertebrae L2 through L5, broken ankle. At the time, I'm pretty sure that's when I originally tore my meniscus and had some tears, which, you know, they were only doing x-rays at the time. But long story short, I ended up being in the hospital for almost a solid month. Yeah. They fed me Jell-O for the first couple of weeks, where I just shriveled up to skin and bones. I think I went in weighing like $165, and by the time I was moving around, I had lost 40 to 45 pounds or so.
Oh my gosh.
So I was doped up on Dilaudid, nice heavy narcotic. Yeah, it's narcotic.
Yep, it is.
And after about 2 or 3 weeks is when they wanted to get me up and started moving around the walker, you know, and doctors are coming in and they're like, man, like you definitely won't walk unassisted again. Yeah. You'll be on a walker or in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Like this is a really bad accident. Like you weren't meant to be here right now. Like we don't know how you made it this far.
And the crazy thing is at the time we went to high school together, but we didn't date in high school. We were loosely friends. We signed up to each other's yearbooks. We found out. we didn't remember
found
that.
out years later.
Yeah, years later. But we like knew of each other, but we weren't necessarily friends. And at the time when the accident happened, I remember I was with some other kids from our high school. We had all already graduated at the time. And I remember someone had told the story like, oh, do you remember Omar? And he got in this really bad accident. We didn't know the details, but just knew he got in this accident. And I remember for days after that, it just bothered me and it hung with me. And I talked about this at our wedding. I talked about it in our vows because I remember so vividly just being so hung up on it, which I'm a pretty empathetic person. So that's not overly surprising, let's say. But it just hung with me. And I was like, man, like he was such a nice guy. That's so crazy. He could have died. And I never understood why it bothered me so much. And then when we started dating, I had thought about that. And then when we got married, I was like, oh, well, that was just like the Holy Spirit letting me know that my love was, you know, maybe hovering above the line of survival when all of that happened. But I remember just being so bothered by it. And then remembering that. And then when we met each other, he was in like tip top shape. So I remember being so confused and not remembering like how severe it was, because the way you moved was not something that was obvious to me that you had any kind of injury, let alone something of that significance, you know?
Yeah. So after about 3 weeks of being in the hospital, that's when they started to get me up, moving around the walker, trying to slowly take me off the Dilaudid, that was also a crazy experience because, you know, it's like, all right, stand up. Let's see if you can stand up for 10 seconds. I was like, holy cow, I'm lightheaded. So they have to slowly kind of like wean you off those drugs, which I'm like, yeah, this is how people get addicted to stuff. Like, how do you get off of that on your own?
Yeah.
So got out of the hospital after about 4 weeks and got into physical therapy, which they gave me an option like, hey, you can do 3 days a week or you can do 5 days a week. I'm like, yeah, why would I do 3 days a week? Like, I want to recover and bounce back to where I was. And I think that's originally where my love for fitness kind of started. And I had a real appreciation for what the human body is capable of, you know, because I had these doctors telling me I wouldn't do something again. And I'm the type of person that's like, wait,
Tell me what?
Tell me. That I can't do something? I will show you.
I always tell people, I'm like, listen, the secret to hack to Omar is if you want him to do something, you just tell him that he can't do it.
For sure.
That he can't do it.
Totally.
And then he will do it times 10.
Yeah.
So,
Omar, I don't think you could run a marathon. Well,
watch me.
Oh, boy.
Take me a little bit of time.
Omar, I don't think you could take me on an awesome date Friday.
Good one.
I know.
Good one. Well, anyways, I just want to talk a little bit about the recovery. Yeah. Do you experience any kind of like PTSD or trauma from that accident? Is there anything that still bothers you mindset-wise or hills,
I would say there's some things, right? So recovery-wise, I was in a back brace for three months, I think, give or take. Was able to walk around. The back brace was terrible. The first couple weeks out of the hospital were just awful.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. I had a ton of issues. Dealing with a lot of pain stuff, and so the first few weeks of the recovery was miserable. But yeah, similar to you, I remember when I went in for one of my follow-up appointments, and my neurosurgeon and I were talking, and Lauren was there, and my surgeon was like, you're really gonna have to take it easy and really kind of ease back in, and you're probably not gonna be able to do some of the stuff that you're used to doing. And
Watch me.
yeah, it was very similar.
Watch me,
It was
Doc.
very much a
Hold my drink.
no, I'll be fine. It'll be okay.
I was terrified because here I am like listening to the doctor, like, yeah,
Rule follower.
you can't do
Uh-huh.
this and
Yep.
this and this. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, taking notes. And then we're hearing two different things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
opposite.
no one knows your body better
Yeah.
than you know
Yes.
your
Yep,
body.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
it's like, as a rule follower and someone that cares,
Yeah.
you just can't help but care.
Yeah.
It's like you want
Exactly.
them to be safe,
And then
but
I
it also is what
definitely-
makes you who you are.
Yeah, and I definitely learned like after all of it, like, oh, he definitely was right in the end.
Mhm.
But initially I was just scared
For
for
sure.
his safety
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
was
yeah,
a little mad at him.
We got out of that appointment with my surgeon, and we definitely heard two very different things. And I was like, yeah, once I get out of the brace, I'll be back to boating. I'm gonna be back to doing all this stuff. And Lauren was like, and I was like,
It's
no,
what?
yes, I
It
am.
was more like, what?
Yeah. But yeah, so the recovery was definitely tough. I think that like a lot of the kind of emotional stuff, a lot of that sort of PTSD has kind of waned a bit. I remember, and I'm still kind of like iffy around sketchy scenarios now, height wise. Like that kind of stuff. Like I was never
As
that
you
way
should
before,
be,
right?
perhaps.
Yeah, probably.
Like Omar doesn't need to race any
Yeah.
motorcycles anytime soon. Like I know you would ride one, but we don't need to
Yeah.
test the limits once again.
Yeah, but I remember having like mini panic attacks going down, because getting to rivers sometimes is a bit of a challenge, and it requires some rope work, or it requires kind of some precarious down climbing on, even if it's on like a step ladder or something like that. There's some interesting ways to get down to putt-ins to go kayaking. And I remember having like mini panic attacks like on the side of the mountain, just thinking
for
like, what
sure.
the heck am I doing? Like I'm just frozen, just like,
Yeah.
and so I think a lot of that has gotten better. I think that what I've kind of been dealing with more lately has been more just kind of that insecurity of like, man, like because there are times where I feel like I'm not firing on all cylinders. And Lauren and I talk about this all the time, and she's always like, yes, you are. But in your head, you're still like, man, but I'm not. And I know it's been a long time, right? It's been 8 years now since that injury, which is mind-boggling to think about, but still dealing with that kind of like insecurity of like, I'm not being able to track my thoughts better. I'm having issues with train of thought, concentration sometimes.
If I would have just listened to Lauren in the first place, I wouldn't be
exactly.
here.
Yeah. But so I think when it comes to kind of like some of the insecurity I'm dealing with these days, it fits more along that. And I think that's one thing that, I'm very grateful for with the gym and with, fitness and everything is one, I'm doing things that I didn't think I would ever be able to do, right? It's awesome that I'm doing
cool.
these physical things that nobody thought I was probably gonna be able to do after I
Yeah.
broke my back. And the community aspect that we've been able to have there has been incredible. It's been awesome, and I think that's just being able to kind of talk through some of these things
Yeah.
and just kind of share these stories has helped a little bit. But there's still kind
sure.
of there's still those moments where it's like, man, like you sound like an idiot when you said that, or I stumble over my words, from time to time, and that's
As
really
we all do.
frustrating.
We all
That's
do. I'm
normal.
like, listen, try coaching. I'm like,
but so like that,
dial.
that frustrates me because
For
I always
sure.
was like, I was not that person. I was very sharp mentally, and so I still think I'm pretty
You're
stinking
super,
tacky,
dude.
like
You're super sharp, and you're
so-
super quick witted.
Yeah, and so it's been interesting, and I think it's gotten better, but there's still days.
For sure.
I mean, I have my days too. I'm similar to you, where it's like I got smoked on that open workout 24.1 by everyone, and I was like, oh man, I barely made it. And then I'm beating myself up, like if I didn't have this accent that I had from back in the day, where my hip is bothering me, my lower back does this, and and then I just I jumped in my gratitude journal. And I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful for that that I have a body that's capable.
Yep.
I've said that before.
Totally.
But
Absolutely.
Whenever we're hard on ourselves about our bodies, the way we look, our appearance, our performance. It's like, you know what? I was able to get up and move, and I still got there, and I did the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, I write in my journal, I am thankful for your body every day. Every day.
So we're going to have Lauren talk a little bit. But Lauren, you were with Ian on the road to recovery from his accident. And now you're on the road to healing and dealing with your own autoimmune disease. How have you all managed the road to recovery dealing with the impact on the autoimmune stuff?
Yeah, as a couple, because
Yeah.
you stood by him as he was recovering, and now your healing journey is such a different experience.
Yes.
So how have you guys as a couple managed that?
Yeah, well, we've had our good days and bad days, that's for sure. I think for me, it's been, and I've talked a lot about this with Aubi. It's
Yeah.
realizing we're two different people, and what I'm going through is different and is going to take a lot more time to overcome or heal. So that's been kind of like a big awakening for me, because it's not something that I can just, if I do all of this, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And like it's going to be something that I have to continue to fight.
Yeah. So what do you
Moving
suffer
forward.
from again?
So I have hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's
Got it.
disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
And so I was diagnosed, I think like officially in 2022, but I knew, because I had really bad healthcare as a teacher too. I knew that I had it like in 2021. They think that, so just context, I guess,
Yeah.
is we were teaching and COVID happened and we all had to go back. And that year, that 2021-2022 school year, the first 2 weeks into it, I got COVID. And I got it pretty bad. And the biggest symptom I had was fatigue. And that fatigue like never, ever went away. And it got so bad to the point where like I gained like 30 to 40 pounds in like a month to 2 months, like instantly.
Wow.
And that was like scary for me.
For sure.
And then moving forward, like I was skipping work a lot. Like I was taking a lot of sick days to the point where it was like one a week. And my admin was not very excited about that, as you could probably you could probably see. But yeah, so
Well, and it's a hard thing for people to compute when you have an autoimmune disease and like literally one day you are on your deathbed
Yes.
dying, and then the next day you can come in and, I mean, we talk about it all the time. I always say like how confusing it must be for people that don't understand or don't have context. Like my grandmother had rheumatoid arthritis. I have rheumatoid arthritis. And I always thought that RA just kind of impacted your joints, which it obviously does. But there's so many other things that are attached to it. And I would watch my grandma go on these cycles all growing up, and there was no discussion around what autoimmune meant.
Yeah.
And so people would look at her and think that she was a hypochondriac. Well, you look fine. You seem fine today, but then the next day you literally can't get out. I
Yeah.
always say, I'm like, you could offer me $1 million to get out of bed. And there are days that you just can't.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're fine. And then it's really confusing for people. And then you also kind of go through, I think, a little bit of like shame and guilt because you can't control it, but
yeah, because
it
I was
impacts
like
everything.
I was like on top, like I was a really good science teacher and I was on top. And then like having to skip work once a week just to like sleep.
Yeah.
Like I just would sleep was like a real shock to me in my body. And then ending with me breaking down after one teacher meeting in the morning with my principal and saying like, I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. Like my body, there's something going on and I'm not capable of this job right now.
Yeah.
And so I took, and thank God for him, like he was very understanding. He let me take a leave of absence. And that entire year, I just kind of was like healing and resting from all of that stressful environment. And then also realizing and later being diagnosed and realizing it was the start of all of it was from COVID, that I had an autoimmune disease.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a journey. Like I feel like it is something that's impacting so many people, but especially women. I think it's like 78% of autoimmune diseases are women.
Yeah. What do you think? You think it's like a generational thing of like,
I do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's tied to chronic stress and the idea that we are trying to do so much, the impact that it has on your system and your body. And it's not that women aren't meant to work or anything like that. So please don't take it out of context. But the amount of stress, especially if you have perfectionistic tendencies, if you're a rule follower, if you are just trying to wear too many hats.
Yeah.
I mean, your toxin load, your lifestyle, your genetic like genome, all of that stuff plays a role. But I just think we're seeing the implications of being burnt out.
Yeah.
Like what it looks like to look at a burnt out generation.
Yeah.
That if you look at, I mean, we have about a 10-year gap between us, but even still, you look at economically what we've gone through as a generation, you look at where our country's gone through, you look at the influx of social media and all the pressures and all the things stacked on top of our food, which is like a whole other thing. Don't get me started on
Season
that.
2, we'll talk about
Season
it.
2, we'll definitely have a food episode. Aubi will go off. But all of those things, I think you're just seeing the implications and the results of kind of the first generation of what burnout looks like with the introduction of those toxins and overloads and things.
Yeah.
Because it's not like there weren't generations with stress, because there definitely was. I just think we're in a unique time where the environment has a much bigger impact on your ability to manage that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we're going to move on to our obsession of the week.
Week.
Who you want to start with? What you got?
Ooh, this week, just because I kept thinking about what your guys' experience was like, it's going to be a book I've posted about before, but Imagine Heaven by John Burke. That book, I would challenge everyone to read, whether it doesn't matter what side of faith you fit on, what side of faith you sit on. I think that book has something for everyone to learn from. So this book is about near-death experiences and what people experienced on the other side. Some things that are absolutely unexplainable by any modern science or whatnot, but there is a theme throughout the book that describes heaven and the love of Jesus and that experience. It changed my faith in a beautiful way. It's been a book that I share consistently with people that have experienced loss, that experience questioning on like what's on the other side. So if you're one of those people that has either been in a season of loss or is in a valley of not knowing what's next, or if you genuinely just have no opinion on what's next, I would still challenge you to read it, because man, what a life-changing book that's been for me. I have told a lot of people about it. And
yeah, if you haven't read that, y'all, go grab that book.
Yeah.
Imagine Heaven. If you need one, Aubi and I have a few laying around the house.
Imagine Heaven by John Burke. That's my obsession of the week for sure.
What you got, Laura?
Very cool. Mine isn't as intense as that, but I've been obsessed with this. It's a fig balsamic dressing that has no seed oils in it, because girls
Preach.
got that
Preach.
autoimmune
That's
disease,
right.
so stay
You know,
away
you
from
know.
seed oils. It's from Sprouts and it's called Cindy's Kitchen. That's like the brand, but it's a fig balsamic and it has 0 fat, so it's like on my
good, too.
diet.
It's tasty.
Hey,
Super
Bot Squad
tasty.
Challenge.
Yeah.
And I love Sprouts, man.
Yeah, Sprouts is the best.
You love you some Sprouts.
It's Crunchy Girl HQ.
Ian, what you got, man?
Something that's not the open, I guess.
Hey, no, you can say that. You can pick
No,
that.
I've actually been mulling over this a lot. So I got 2 very quickly. Number 1 is the NHL trade deadline was this past week, and so I'm super duper like into professional hockey, so I've been scouring Twitter looking at the deadline moves all week. That's been super big. And then also pretty stinking nerdy, and so we went and saw the second Dune movie. Absolutely incredible. But
That's
so
what I've heard.
been
I don't
digging-
even know what Dune is, but
it's,
like
it's amazing.
I guess we'd have to watch Dune 1. We don't have a
Yeah.
TV though, so how do we?
But I've been diving into like the deep lore of Dune over the past week, and so those are probably the 2 big things for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I would say my obsession of the week has been just creating. Like creating content, man. Sometimes I forget how much of an outlet that is and how much I love like making people feel good and just showcasing what it is that people do. So like being able to just capture photos in the gym or outside the gym, and being able to capture video. And like lately, I think back in the day, Facebook used to be able to like tag people and they get exposed to like their network.
Yeah.
And then like that's not really a thing anymore because we're getting old and people aren't really on Facebook anymore. But like Instagram with the collaborator part, it's like, cool, man. I like to take, a good slide of 7 to 10 photos of people like working out and then like tag them as a collaborator. And if they accept, and like their friends get to see what they do. Cause I think it's sometimes you're like, I don't want to post myself working out. I'm not really quite a fitness influencer or who am I going to inspire? But I think if it's posted from somebody else, it's easy for you to like reshare that and say, cool, like look what my gym
It gives you like
posted of me.
permission.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
someone that's
Yeah.
a little bit more shy and you're like not one to put yourself out there, that's something really cool when somebody else feels really proud of you and they share that, it's a lot easier to share that with people.
So I hope people enjoy what I create as much as I enjoy creating it.
I love that.
That's my session of the week.
I love
I dig
that.
that.
Yeah. Gratitude time, y'all. Let's hit them with some gratitude. Go ahead.
I'm gonna start.
Keep going, order.
Number one, I'm really, really grateful for Coach Jay and the vlog he shared this week. He is on a journey with a benign, non-cancerous brain tumor that has come back around his pituitary gland. And he is just a light anyways, but his openness around sharing that, an attitude towards it, just a ray of positivity and nothing but good vibes, and kind of also what he wants from other people. I just am super gracious for his vulnerability in sharing that story and just really sharing his like hella blessed lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that guy is consistent and he walks the walk, and I just really have such like an appreciation for him and Maria and just that being that vulnerable to share that story. I was really gracious for that. Number two, I will say I'm super gracious for all of our friends that are helping me figure out Omar's 40th birthday party. We had a little bit of a change in plan, but it's just so cool to see like how many people are excited for you, like to celebrate you. Cause I'm always super excited. And I love that we've been like kind of mentioning that you're going to be turning 40 next month, or I've been mentioning and letting everybody
What does
know.
Omar want to do? He wants to have a health and wellness 40 or something.
Yeah, totally.
Do some breath
I think
work,
that's
do
kind of
some-
like the vibe, right? Like a little
cold
like
plunging.
crunchy, yeah,
Totally.
like some cold plunging, maybe some breath work.
Yeah, so if y'all coming to my birthday, y'all better be ready to cold plunge.
yeah, so
Love that.
looking at some crunchy stuff, but it always feels good to have people affirm someone that I love so much. So that was really cool. And then third and finally, I'm really grateful for Friday Night Lights. Like, say what we want about the Open and say what we want about CFHQ, because, you know, I have some opinions on that sometimes. But I really love the community aspect of the Open, and I really love the energy that comes with the Friday Night Lights. And I love how people come in theme and people just breaking through those mental barriers of what they could. Like Ian with your double unders, man, like so cool. A month ago, you couldn't do that. And then something clicks, and it's like the nerves that come with it. And it's like, regardless of opinions on programming or anything else, it's like
It's
always a good energy. And it's just a great excuse if you choose to like activate your gym community. And I always love a Friday Night Lights. I just love watching people go to that, like that dark place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get
It's
into
just
the
a
pain
different
cave.
thing. It's
Yeah.
a different thing when you're in it too. And like Coach V had like an awesome breakthrough last night, and
Yeah,
just
she did.
seeing her tap back into like her
Crushed
power. And I literally texted her. I was like, legends never die, girl. Like, that's how I feel about her.
True that.
So that would be my number
Nice.
2. Or was that my 2? Sorry, I'm like long-winded today. And then 3, and finally, I would say the Bot Squad Challenge has been super cool. I think it's been a really motivating thing to have a group of people that are willing to go on that journey together and kind of bring some awareness to our nutrition, you know, before the 40th birthday. So appreciative of that.
I think that was number 4.
Oh,
It's all
sorry.
good though.
Edit it out.
I love it.
Edit it out.
What you got, Lauren? Give us some gratitude.
So, number 1, I'm really grateful for Social City
Hey.
and the gym. I have definitely learned a lot about myself over the past however many months
Few months.
Yeah.
it's been. And I've definitely had those like hard breakthrough moments where I just like feel the tears coming out. And it's like more energy to push through that,
Yeah.
which is like, that's the first time that's happened in my life. So,
Oh, so cool.
I'm like, I can use this trauma and like
Use it for
push
fuel.
harder.
Yeah, for
and that's kind
sure.
of what happened last night at the
Oh, it sure did.
Open on my last round. I did 6 rounds.
Yeah.
Which was really
Wow.
She killed it.
That's awesome.
She picked up the weight for that first set of the deadlift, and
I
she looked at
hated
me and she
him.
was like, "This is too heavy, Ian." I said, "No, it's not. It's not too heavy. You got this."
I was like, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
Oh, listen,
Yeah, she
We've
hit
been
right
there
if we,
before.
if we could give any advice,
Yep.
maybe not have your significant other be your judge during the Open. O and I tested the boundaries of our relationship. I was mean though. I was not nice. He was a very good judge. I will own all of that. I'd be like, he'd be like, "You can do this," and I would look at him and be like, "Don't talk to me." Just like not okay.
Yeah, she looks at me like halfway through round 2. She's like, "I'm mad at you." I said, "That's fine, good.
Yeah.
use it,
Use it. Yeah, for
It
sure.
is, yeah, that's such a.
I kind of love those moments though,
Yeah, for
because then
sure.
afterwards we
Yeah.
talk about them and he laughs. Like he was like, "You were mad." And I was like, "I was.
So mad.
I was so mad
mad.
at you." And it's kind of like a bonding thing afterwards.
Trauma
that
bond,
really-
you know?
That's
Yeah,
right.
totally.
Yeah.
Social
Yeah.
City
Wait.
Trauma Bond.
Yes.
Brought
What
to you
else,
by
what
Omar
else
and
you got,
Aubi.
Laura?
So that second would be my husband.
He's aight. We like him
He's
too.
cool. He's cool, dude.
He's a good egg.
Yeah, for pushing me through this time of healing and getting me into the CrossFit gym.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then third has to be Aubi.
Oh.
For our after the gym
Oh yeah.
chats.
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
definitely fun.
Keeping the social in Social City, y'all.
Yeah.
Listen, that's what I do.
Ian, what you
She's
got,
good
man?
at it.
I think the first thing I'm grateful for is some of my friends outside the gym that I've known for a long time. I've been able to spend some time with them over the past couple weekends. Got to go skiing up in Mammoth for my best man's bachelor party was a couple weeks ago.
Fun.
So that was a lot of fun. And then another one of my groomsmen came down and we went to a music festival in Arizona last
Yeah,
weekend. That
that
was
looked
also
like
a ton
good
of fun. So
time.
being able to, kind of have that community,
Yeah.
it's something that we've been craving a lot,
For
which
sure.
kind of ties into the gym too. But so being able to have that with people I've known for a really long time is awesome.
So cool.
I think the second thing I'm grateful for, this ties into Friday Night Lights. My judge week 1 was Clarissa, and she
Shout out to Clarissa.
Clarissa is the
Nice.
nicest human being
crushed.
ever.
Yeah, she
Just count out for you.
crushed that. She crushed her workout, and being able to like watch her just throw down for,
Yeah.
that, for the 15 minutes was insane. She
Yeah.
did so good. And then I think the third thing I'm grateful for is the opportunity that we've been able to have. We at the gym, Lauren and I have been talking a lot. We had a lot of friends down here when we originally moved down here. We had some more family down here. A lot of them has moved away, and now we are down to Lauren's mom, and that's kind of it,
Yeah.
and so we were lacking that community, and so being able to find that, and being able to give each other a hard time and laugh at each other and be able to get through these tough things together, because some of
Yeah.
these workouts that we do are hard.
Right?
They're hard. Like today was hard. And so, but being able to have that community is something that I will always be grateful for. It's because something I think it's so important to have that. Otherwise life isn't fun,
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, man, like if we ran an ad, it would always be like, if you just moved to Vegas and you're looking for some friends,
Totally.
especially like-minded people who are motivated and want you to do well in life, come to Social City.
Yeah.
Because that's what
Yeah.
it feels like, right? Like we have so many stories of people that are transplants, they've, are looking for a new community. And then again, like there's all these friendships that are birthed out of the gym. And it's just such a rewarding thing to witness. And it's so cool too, I think, from a couple's perspective. We don't talk about it a lot, but there is such a cool bond that happens when you guys are both doing the same thing and the same challenging thing at that's forcing you to grow, not just physically, but mentally, and believing what you're capable of,
Yeah, true
what
that.
you're physically capable of, like pushing past a limit and doing the hard thing over and over and over again. There is something really special that can happen. You don't even have to train the same class times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you still get that commonality of coming home and being like, man, at this point in the workout, I didn't think I could do it. Oh, me too. And you're having this moment of almost this self-development and this muscle that we're flexing around discipline that I think people underrate. Like if you're having a hard time connecting in your relationship, or you're looking to, I don't want to say like spice things up, but find a new common ground,
Yeah.
training together, I don't care what it is. I think that there's something really special about that.
You're right.
You know?
100%.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
All right. So gratitude number 1, I'm grateful for our family and having family nearby. Like you said, like you guys only have your mom. And
Totally.
Yeah.
like I never want to take for granted having our family nearby
We have
and
everyone
close.
except
Like
for Fee.
being able to come, to the podcast and film every Saturday for the past 9 weeks, like our family's
Yeah.
been there. Gabby and Brian, Allie and Bryce, and, grandma, grandpa,
Papa
Papa Yay.
Yay.
We just dropped our kids off over at my mom's. I'm so grateful to have them to be able to do that, and they get some time
Yeah.
to spend with them. And,
Totally.
I'm always grateful for that.
Totally.
Second, I am grateful I know that social media has its ups and downs and its pros and cons, but I'm grateful for social media because it gives us an opportunity to share, the podcast and to share these stories, which if you're not watching the full length 1 hour episode on YouTube, which is a big commitment, like you don't get access to what we're talking about here and just the messages and some of the responses that we've had from just different
the
episodes.
snippets.
We've had, like life hacks for when you feel discouraged. We've had our marriage episode and how we saved it. We've had the sobriety episode. We had Clifton Reynald on, just, talking about the LGBTQ community. So it's kind of like being able to hit different areas and posting that to social media. Like people see that and they reach out and they go, yeah, like that resonates with me. And, that really had a positive impact on me. Like I'm sending this episode to 2 or 3 of my friends. It's like, man, that's really awesome.
That's always the thing that gets me is it's like I'm always humbled when people say they watch it, but it's always when they say they shared it.
Yeah.
That's all I always tell them. I'm like, I'm a podcast listener. I was like, and it takes a lot for me to want to like share a full hour episode. And a lot of times running into people, they're like, oh man, this episode resonated and this is why. And I shared it with someone and I'm always like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I'm always incredibly humbled by that.
Yeah. And then last, I'm grateful for our little girl, Sayla. Like Sayla is just, she is brave and resilient. She wanted to do her own cold plunge.
Yeah.
Like she had this elaborate story one night when she's like, Dad, you need to go in the closet. You need to take the Christmas decorations out of the bin and use that bin and clean it and make a cold plunge for me so I can cold plunge with you in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So the next morning, it's like 5:30 in the morning or 6 a.m. And I'm like going through the garage, pulling stuff out, putting it in a bag. I go to fill this bin up and it was cracked. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? She's going to kill me if I don't make this work. So we have like bins on top and I have to like pull out 3 bins to get to one that was kind of light, wash that out, put it in. And I was like, she better get in this.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go to do mine. I'm like, here we go. Say let's day 64, whatever it is. And she steps right in. And then you know what she did in the video? She started praying.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's so cool to just see that like kids are following your example.
They do as you do.
Yeah.
They don't do as you say.
Make sure you set a good one, you know what I mean? And I just give her some affirmations while she's in there. And it just reminds me of like what we're still doing as adults. Like we need to affirm ourselves. And if we can get those foundations set at a young age, like it'll be easier to
She's
follow
gonna
those
be
as you go.
unstoppable.
She is, man. Yeah.
I'm excited.
So yeah, that's my gratitude, boo.
I love that.
Tell them the good news.
Just remember that you're made with a purpose on purpose, and we're thankful you spent your time with us. Fit Force, woo on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Fit Force, woo. Episode 9. That was the wrap, y'all. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Ian.
Season
I'll see you
finale
guys
next
time for the
one.
season finale.
Yay, I love
Peace
it.
out.